Let's control ourselves. Let's keep it together, guys. I know it's hilarious, but let's keep it together. We have a lot that we need to talk about on today's video. Boston Celtics, Philadelphia 76ers headed to a Game 7. We have to say goodbye to a team. And we need to talk about the Denver Nuggets because they look incredible, right? But of course, first and foremost, I want to start with this 76ers and Celtics game headed to a Game 7. The Sixers, man, they Sixered themselves. They Sixered their pants last night. It felt like they actually had control of this game and that they were going to do it. They were going to close out the Celtics. They were going to move on to the second round for the first time in 20 years, the first time in Joel Embiid's career. And they Sixered themselves. They scored 4 points in 1 point in the final 4 minutes of the game, man. That is just terrible. And it's easy, and I've been guilty of it myself, just shitting on Doc Rivers. Doc Rivers is a joke, blah, blah, blah. I really can't blame him. The offense just, like, everybody just shit themselves, essentially, is what it felt like. And Embiid barely got the ball. He's complaining about it to the press after the game. Not very good vibes for this team headed into Game 7. The crowd, you could tell, the moment Tatum started this game 1 of 15 from the field, ladies and gentlemen. 1 of 15 from the field. And hilariously enough, the Celtics were actually like winning for most of this game. Despite that, I have never seen, at least not in a long time, a team that is so capable of surviving their superstars. I'm using quotes. I don't think this guy's a superstar. The superstars' horrific outings. Like, I'm not like disappointing, not like, oh man, he's a little bit slow. Like, literally dog shit performances. The Celtics seem to survive those so often. It's really impressive and a testament to how good the roster is. But nonetheless, Tatum did come alive in the final 4 minutes or so of the game. You got to give him some props there. It was truthfully a Kobe-esque performance in the way that he turned it around at the end. But you could tell in that building, the first 3 that Tatum hit, it was like, oh shit, here we go. Here it comes. And I was talking about this with one of my friends last night because I was watching this game with some of my friends. I was like, do you think there's like home court advantage in the playoffs? Obviously, the home court has the advantage, right? If you are, I think it's, I don't know the exact numbers, but if you want to be the home team, essentially. But in buildings where there is some history, right? Where there is some, whether it's, hey, this team hasn't made it past this round in a long time, or remember last year, because we're going to talk about this with the Suns game, obviously. Remember last year when this team did this and embarrassed themselves on the home floor? It feels like there's almost so much tension in the building that it's not really an advantage, right? Because again, the Sixers, I mean, that place was ready to explode. If D'Anthony Melton missed a couple threes, if he hit some of those, that place was going to explode, right? They were just ready. Maxey, I think, missed a corner 3. That place was going to explode. That place is going to go crazy. And then they missed the shots, and Tatum started hitting threes, and you could just feel the energy in the building shift to a point where they're like, oh, fuck, we're doomed. Like, it's over. They're doing it again. So I do wonder that about home court advantage. So we are getting a Game 7 on Sunday, and I don't know. I think the Celtics will probably take care of business in that one, but you never know with the Game 7. Anything can truthfully happen. I will say, NBA, really? Why are we Mother's Day? We might have 3 Game 7s on Mother's Day. Really? Why are we doing this? Big benefit of that game last night for us neutral fans is that we no longer have to listen to Mark Jones and Doris Burke, who have been by far the worst commentary team in the playoffs so far. Kind of unusual. I usually like Doris Burke, but it feels like she's reached this point where it's like, God, I talk about this all the time, but there's some broadcasters where it's like, hey, we're trying to have fun here. Like, we're watching a sporting event. Like, this isn't some world-altering thing that we need to like talk about it. Like, the world's never going to be the same after every basket. Like, it's just sports. We're having fun. And Mark Jones takes it to like an extreme. There's this hilarious tweet going around where it's like, listening to Mark Jones call a basketball game is like your parents reading off Urban Dictionary. That is what it sounds like. It's so excruciating. I have never liked it. I can't believe people. It's like he said Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum are smoking that Philly pack, and I'm just like, oh my God. Every game with him, it's like, no, be fucking for real, man. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown, they're smoking that Zaza. They just legalized nuclear bombs in this building. They're smoking that Philly pack. They ate and left no crumbs. Be fucking for real, on God. And I'm just like, this is the worst viewing experience I've ever had. And that's saying a lot for ESPN. All right, it's time. We have to say goodbye to another fallen soldier of the Phoenix Suns. It brings me no joy saying goodbye to them. But nonetheless, we do have to say goodbye. Phoenix Suns. It's kind of a rare feat for a championship contending team to lose by 30 at home in the playoffs to anyone at any point. But to do it in a closeout game, not once, but twice, wow, that's some talent, really, it is. That's some special territory you're entering there. There's some demons you guys need to exercise because something going on in elimination games at home in that desert city that should not exist, because why the fuck do we have cities in the middle of the desert? It makes no sense. Where do we start? Where do we start with Phoenix? I want to start with this, right? The key to beating the Phoenix Suns over the last 3 years, be healthy. Like, that just seems to be it. I hate being this guy because it's the playoffs. Every team is injured. But I tweeted this out before the start of the postseason, and Phoenix Suns fans shit all over me for some reason. I have no idea why, because everything I said in the tweet was 100% factual. But if your team is healthy against the Suns, you're going to win. That's what history has shown us. In the last 3 years, since the Suns were on their finals run, right, I got to give them some props. Them and Philadelphia are the only two teams that have won a playoff series, at least one playoff series, in each of the last 3 postseasons. So they deserve some credit there. That's not some easy thing to do. Let's look at their run, their finals run. Round 1 of the playoffs, they're in a tough series against the Lakers, right? AD gets hurt midway through the series, misses like the final 2.5, 3 games of the series. They go on to win. Then they play the Nuggets in the second round. Jamal Murray out. They go on to win. Then they play the Clippers in the conference finals. Kawhi Leonard tears his ACL the series before. They go on to win. They play a relatively healthy Bucks team, and they lose. Fast forward to the next season. They play the Pelicans in round 1. Zion injured. Now I know you're saying, oh my God, Zion's always... I know. Trust me, I know. But this is just the point of the thought exercise here. Zion out. The Suns win. They play a relatively healthy Mavs team. Round 2, they lose. Fast forward to this year, they play the Clippers in round 1. Kawhi Leonard hurts his knee. Paul George out for the whole series, but then Kawhi Leonard hurts his knee in game 2. He's out for the rest of the series. They go on to win. Then they play a healthy Nuggets team and lose. That's just been the reality of the situation. And yes, I know the Suns themselves have been injured. I get that. And yes, there are some of those series that I mentioned that they would have won regardless, right? But still, the fact remains, they haven't beaten a healthy playoff team in each of the last 3 years. And I'm not talking about like role player injuries. I'm talking like either the best player, the second best player, or both are out for either the entire series or a large portion of the series. So I don't know I have no idea what to feel about them, because they've been this buzzsaw at times where they look very, very good. But it's just, how are you this bad in elimination games? Like 2 years in a row, we're doing the blown out by 30 fucking points at home again? We're doing that again? Like, I still think last year was a little bit more embarrassing than this, because you put up 27 points in the first half. Like, you stood zero chance. Here, you just literally couldn't stop a nosebleed. You just gave up 80 points in the first half. I know, I think they like him a lot. He seems like a great dude. But as a coach, do you survive, being... Last year, they were the championship favorites, I'm pretty sure, heading into the postseason. This year, they weren't the championship favorites, but they were high up there. Do you survive too humiliating, not just losing, losing to this Nuggets team in 6? I don't think that's the end of the world, especially considering how obvious your depth issues were heading into this series that really got exposed in round 1. But losing in that fashion at home, 2 years in a row, I don't know as a coach how you can bounce back from that, really. And Booker, this postseason, 33.7 points per game, over 7 assists per game on 68% true shooting. He is the only guard. He joins Donovan Mitchell, actually, from the bubble season, as the only guard in NBA history to average 33 or more points on 68% true shooting or better in a postseason run. So, truthfully, a remarkable playoff performance from Devin Booker. But elimination game, here he goes again. 12 points on 4 of 13 from the field. 1 point in the second half. Over the last 3 seasons, in closeout games, in elimination games, he is 14 points per game on 38% shooting. 0-3 in those games and a minus 83. I mean, what am I supposed to feel? Like, I've seen a bunch of Suns fans on Twitter who are like, oh, Devin Booker's great playoff run's not going to be remembered now. It's a little tainted. Like, yes, it was a great run, but dude, playing that shit in an elimination game for the second year in a row, like, what are we supposed to say to that? That is like, for a star or a superstar level player, that is inexcusable. You cannot be doing that. Even if you didn't really have a great chance of winning the game to begin with, because I don't think they did. I predicted that whoever's going to win Game 5 in that series is going to go on to win it in 6, and that's what happened. But damn, man, that's a tough stat. And he was literally automatic. It had been a long time since I'd seen anything like what Devin Booker was doing in the first, 7, 8, 9 games of this postseason run for him. But the last 2 games, and I'm not going to put too much of the blame on him, because they're getting ran into the ground. Like, especially once Chris Paul got injured, they asked Devin Booker to do literally everything offensively for them. And and he tweaked his ankle in Game 5. So I just don't think he was himself. But still, this is just, 14 points per game on 38% shooting on elimination games in your career. Ooh. Then you have the KD part of this. 29 points per game. on 59% true shooting this postseason. It's crazy because you look at the numbers, you're like, oh, wow, yeah, KD actually played pretty good this postseason. Those are pretty good numbers. It didn't feel that way at all. Like, it did not feel like Kevin Durant had a Kevin Durant postseason, especially in this series. Like, his numbers were fine. The counting stats were cool. But you watched, and, even 2 years ago in that series against the Bucks, and in that playoff run for the Nets, Kevin Durant was literally an unstoppable force. At that moment in time, he was the best player in the NBA, right? It required a God-level performance from Giannis for them to advance, and injuries to that Nets team. But Kevin Durant could literally not be stopped. It didn't matter what defense you played on him. It didn't matter what looks you threw at him. He was making shots. He was making shots over double teams. He was making contested follow-away threes. Like, it didn't matter. Then last year against the Celtics, obviously he had a disastrous series. They got swept. And this year against the Nuggets, it was like they got to him. Like, it wasn't this unguardable, you couldn't do anything to stop him force. It was, hey, if you put some pressure on KD and if you do your best to contest as much as possible against a 7-footer who can shoot from anywhere and has great handles, but if you do your best to contest, you can alter his shot. You can force him to miss shots. When guarded by Aaron Gordon, keep in mind, like, these defensive matchup stats are always fucky. But when guarded by Aaron Gordon, KD shot 38% from the field and averaged 2 turnovers a game when guarded by Aaron Gordon. Aaron Gordon did a fantastic job in this series. He had moments offensively where it was disgusting, but defensively, he was great. KCP stepped up. Bruce Brown stepped up. Christian Brown stepped up. Like, they all had moments guarding KD in the series where we were like, damn. MPJ had moments, too, defensively, where you're like, holy shit, wait, MPJ is that guy defensively sometimes? Yes, he can be. And then he led the KD led the playoffs in minutes per game for the second straight season. Like, this is a guy who's was coming off of injury stuff this year, but is often plagued with injuries, is 35. How old is he? 35 years old? Man, you're asking a lot out of this guy. And I'm not going to lie, if I'm a Suns fan, I'm kind of uneasy. Like, I'm a little bit uneasy about our future. We're headed into the things. I was like, holy shit, like, we got KD. We might win the championship this year, but either way, we got Book and KD moving forward. Now it's like, what exactly happens now? Because Ayton is gone. I can't imagine a world in which Ayton is on this team next year, but the world in which he is it's like, who wants him? Like, who exactly? I know the Pacers just gave him an offer sheet, but especially after extending Miles Turner, why the fuck would they want him now after seeing all of this play out? Like, is there a team out there who convinces themselves, hey, I can fix him? Right? He's an athletic freak. He's a physical specimen. We've seen flashes. Get him in my building, and I'll fix him. I'll figure something out. What's that noise? What's that noise? What's behind me? Don't fucking tell me. Because I know what it is, but don't tell me what it is. But I know what it is. Get that off the screen right now. I want it off the screen. Take it off the fucking screen. I just don't know. Because for them, right, if you trade Ayton, you need guys back. It's not like you're salary dumping him. Oh, yeah, we'll get off that contract. We'll trade him for a second-round pick. Like, you need, like, 2 legitimate wing players. 2, like, legitimate guys. And I don't know what team is really lining up to do that right now. And same thing can be said for Chris Paul, where it's like, I mean, honest to God, they look better. Like, with Campaign, they just ran more. Campaign was actually really good last night, but it just felt like they were faster, and it felt like it was just Devin Booker, Kevin Durant. These are our guys. Let's not fuck around. Here's the ball, right? I mean, what team is lining up to bring him in? And again, it's not just bring him in. It's what team is lining up to give you something valuable in return for that, like valuable players in return for Chris Paul. I just don't see it. So I don't know. They're gonna have to have a great offseason. Jokic in this series, 34.5 points per game, 13 rebounds a game, 10 assists per game. One of only 3 players in NBA history to average a 30-point triple-double. The only guy to win that series. So wow, Jokic, best player in the world, planting his flag. I don't care who gets MVP. Just know by the end of this postseason run, we'll know who the best is. I am on my hands and knees. Doc Rivers, please. Please. James Harden, please. Embiid, please. I need Nuggets and Sixers finals. I need it like I need oxygen. I need the Embiid-Jokic finals matchup. Like, I just feel like it would be so perfect for the last 3 years for this season to end in that. Right after Embiid finally got his MVP. I need it. Do I think the Sixers will give it to me? Fuck no.